I, 28M, never thought I would end up dating someone with a kid. All my previous relationships were with women who didn't have children, and I was comfortable with that. But then I met Naomi, 27F, at my friend Jake's birthday party 6 months ago, and everything changed. Jake's wife Amy works with Naomi at the hospital, and they've been friends for years. When Jake introduced us, we instantly connected over our shared love of true crime documentaries and hiking. Naomi told me about Emily on our first date. She was upfront about being a single mom and said she would understand if that was a deal breaker for me. But something about Naomi made me want to give it a chance. She got pregnant with Emily when she was 21, during her final year of nursing school. Her ex, Mike, seemed supportive at first but started showing his true colors after Emily was born. He would disappear for weeks, claiming he was looking for better job opportunities in other cities, but Naomi later found out he was just partying and doing drugs. The final straw came when Emily was 2. Mike showed up at their apartment high on something, demanding money. When Naomi refused, he became aggressive. She had to call the police to get him to leave. After that incident, he completely disappeared for almost a year. He would occasionally show up on Emily's birthday or Christmas, make grand promises about taking her to Disneyland or buying her a pony, then disappear again. He barely paid any child support, and what little he did pay was usually months late. Naomi has been amazing through all of this. She finished nursing school while raising Emily as a single mom, with help from her parents who live about an hour away. She now works as a pediatric nurse and somehow manages to balance her career with being an incredible mother. Her strength and dedication are what made me fall for her. When we first started dating, Naomi was very protective of Emily, which I completely understood. We only went on dates when Emily was staying with her grandparents, and Naomi made it clear that she wouldn't introduce me to Emily until she was absolutely sure about our relationship. I respected her boundaries and used that time to learn more about being a stepparent. I read books, joined online forums, and talked to my friend Mark, who has been a stepdad for 5 years. After 3 months of dating, Naomi finally felt ready for me to meet Emily. We planned a casual meeting at the park, where Emily could feel comfortable and not pressured. I was nervous, but it went better than I expected. Emily is this incredible kid who loves dinosaurs and wants to be a doctor for animals when she grows up. Being around her felt natural, probably because I helped raise my younger siblings after our parents divorced and I spent a lot of time with my nieces. Things were going great until last month when Mike suddenly reappeared. He showed up at Naomi's house on a Sunday morning, completely unannounced. Emily was excited to see him at first, but then he started making comments about how Naomi and he should give their relationship another try for Emily's sake. When Naomi told him she was dating me, he got angry and started accusing her of trying to replace him as Emily's father. Since then, Mike has been causing problems. He sends Naomi multiple messages every day, alternating between begging her to take him back and threatening to fight for custody. He's shown up at Emily's school twice, which scared both Emily and her teachers enough that the school now has his photo at the front desk. He even found my Facebook profile and sent me a long message about how I should back off from his family. But honestly, dealing with Mike isn't even the hardest part. The real challenge has been my family's reaction to my relationship. When I told them about Naomi and Emily, their response was heartbreaking. My mom, who I've always been close to, acted like I had just told her I was throwing my life away. She started listing all the reasons why dating a single mom was a bad idea. You'll never be her real father. What if Naomi's using you for financial stability? The ex will always be in the picture, and so on. My sister Rachel sided with mom and added her own concerns about me taking on another man's responsibilities. She kept sending me links to articles about custody battles and horror stories about stepparents. Only my dad showed any support, probably because he was raised by his stepdad after his biological father abandoned him and my grandmother. Last week, thinking I could change their minds, I convinced Naomi to have my family over for dinner. She spent hours cooking, cleaned the entire house, and even bought new plates because she wanted everything to be perfect. Emily was excited to meet more of my people, as she calls my family, but Naomi decided it would be better for her to stay in her room during dinner, just in case things got tense. The dinner was a disaster. My mom spent the entire time making subtle digs at Naomi. She asked questions like, "Don't you think Emily needs her real father in her life? And aren't you worried about confusing Emily by having different men around?" When Naomi mentioned Emily's upcoming school play, my mom actually suggested that we should invite Mike since these events should be for real family. After my family left, Naomi broke down. She's always been so strong, but hearing my mom basically call her a bad mother for not forcing Emily to have a relationship with her unreliable father really hurt her. She suggested maybe we should slow things down, saying she didn't want to cause problems between me and my family. I told her absolutely not. I'm not letting my family's prejudices affect our relationship. But now I'm stuck in this impossible situation. Mike keeps causing problems, my family, except Dad, is being hostile, and I'm trying to figure out how to be there for Emily without overstepping any boundaries. Last week, Emily asked if she could call me Dad because my other dad never comes to my games like you do. I didn't know how to respond. I love that she feels that comfortable with me, but I also don't want to push things too fast or make decisions that should be made by Naomi. I'm confident about my feelings for both Naomi and Emily. I want to be in their lives long term, and I'm ready to take on the responsibility of being a father figure to Emily. But I need advice on how to handle all these external pressures. How do I deal with Mike's interference? How do I manage my family's disapproval? And most importantly, how do I be the best possible father figure to Emily while respecting everyone's boundaries? Update 1: A lot has happened since my last post, and unfortunately, none of it is good. The situation with Mike and my family has gone from bad to worse, and I'm really struggling to handle everything. Last weekend was Emily's soccer game. She's been playing for a few months now and absolutely loves it. Naomi and I go to every game, and I usually record them so Emily can watch herself play later. She likes to study her techniques and practice in the backyard. This particular game was special because Emily was going to play as striker for the first time. I had invited my mom and sister to the game, hoping that seeing Emily in her element would help them understand why I care about her so much. They've been making comments about me wasting time playing family with Naomi and Emily, so I thought maybe seeing us together would change their minds. Naomi wasn't too excited about the idea after the disaster dinner, but she agreed it was worth trying. The game started at 9 a.m. Everything was going great, Emily was playing really well, and even scored a goal in the first half. Then, about halfway through the game, Mike showed up. This is a guy who hasn't attended a single school event, parent-teacher conference, or doctor's appointment in the past 4 years, but suddenly he shows up at a Saturday morning soccer game like he's father of the year. Emily noticed him in the crowd and completely froze up in the middle of the game. Naomi had to go talk to her coach and ask if Emily could sit out for a while because she was so upset. While Naomi was comforting Emily on the bench, I noticed my mom and sister had moved to sit next to Mike. They were chatting with him like they were old friends, completely ignoring how their behavior was affecting Emily. After the game, my mom insisted we all go to lunch together. She made it impossible to say no without causing a scene, especially with Emily right there. So we ended up at this family restaurant, Naomi, Emily, me, Mike, my mom, and my sister. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Throughout lunch, Mike kept talking about all these grand plans he had for Emily. He was going to take her to Six Flags, buy her a new bike, teach her to swim. She already knows how to swim. Naomi taught her 2 years ago. My mom and sister were eating it up, making comments like Emily must be so excited to have her daddy back and now you can be a proper family again. I could see Naomi getting more and more uncomfortable. Emily was just pushing food around her plate, barely eating. Then Mike dropped the bomb. He announced he was going to file for joint custody. He said he had cleaned up his act and wanted to be more involved in Emily's life. My mom actually clapped and said it's about time. I've never seen Naomi look so pale. Naomi quickly took Emily to the bathroom, probably to compose herself. While they were gone, I confronted Mike and my family. I asked Mike where he'd been for the past 4 years, and why he suddenly cared about being a father now. Instead of answering, he smirked and said at least I'm her real father, not some replacement. My mom jumped to his defense, saying I needed to understand that blood relations were more important than any temporary relationship. That's when I lost it. I told them they were all being selfish and didn't care about what was best for Emily. My sister shot back that I was the selfish one, trying to play house with someone else's family. The argument got pretty heated, and we ended up leaving before Naomi and Emily came back from the bathroom. Later that night, Naomi was checking her Facebook messages when she found something disturbing. My sister had been messaging Mike for over a week. She had told him about my relationship with Naomi and Emily, sent him recent pictures of Emily that I had shared with my family, and even gave him Naomi's work schedule. She had been encouraging him to fight for his family and offering to help him get custody. I couldn't believe my sister would do this. I drove to her house immediately and confronted her. She tried to defend herself, saying she was just looking out for Emily's best interests. She claimed that every child needs their real father and that I was fooling myself if I thought I could replace Mike. When I pointed out Mike's history of drug use and abandonment, she said people could change and he deserved another chance. My mom called while I was at my sister's house. Instead of apologizing for their behavior, she doubled down. She said I was choosing a stranger's kid over my own family, and that she had raised me better than this. She even suggested that maybe Naomi was manipulating me, using Emily to trap me in a relationship. I hung up on her. When I got back to Naomi's house, Emily was already in bed. Naomi was sitting on the couch, looking through old photos of Emily as a baby. She started crying and told me that Mike's threats about custody were bringing back memories of when Emily was 2. Apparently, the night he showed up he had threatened to take Emily away from her. She's terrified he might try again, especially now that he is my family's support. I feel horrible because my attempt to bring my family around has made everything so much worse. Mike probably wouldn't even know about our relationship if my sister hadn't contacted him. Emily has been having nightmares and asking why everyone is fighting. Naomi is stressed and scared about the custody threats. And my relationship with my family is completely shattered. I'm not backing down though. I've told my mom and sister I need space from them until they can respect my relationship and stop interfering. I've also saved all the messages between my sister and Mike in case we need them later. Naomi is talking to her lawyer tomorrow about getting a restraining order against Mike based on his past behavior and current harassment. I just hope all this drama doesn't end up hurting Emily more than she's already been hurt. Update 2: What I'm about to share completely turned our situation upside down. Remember how I mentioned my sister had been messaging Mike? Well, there's a much bigger story behind that, and it's worse than any of us imagined. Naomi has this friend Jenny who works at the same marketing firm as my sister. Last week, Jenny overheard my sister having a heated phone conversation in the break room. She wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but my sister was talking loudly enough that Jenny could hear Mike's name several times. What caught Jenny's attention was when my sister said, "You promised me things would be different this time." Jenny told Naomi about this conversation, and it got Naomi thinking. She started doing some digging on social media and found old photos of my sister and Mike together from about a year ago. It turns out they had dated for several months before Mike broke it off. This was all before I even met Naomi, but my sister never mentioned it. According to their old social media posts, they met at a bar and dated for about 4 months. During their relationship, Mike would apparently talk constantly about Naomi and Emily, saying he regretted leaving them and wanted to make things right. My sister stuck around, thinking she could help him change and maybe he would forget about Naomi. But Mike never got over Naomi, and that's why they eventually broke up. This explains so much about my sister's behavior. Her immediate hostility toward Naomi wasn't just about me dating a single mom, she was jealous. When she found out I was dating Mike's ex, she must have seen it as some sort of betrayal. Instead of telling me the truth, she decided to try and sabotage my relationship. I confronted my sister at her apartment last weekend. At first, she tried to deny everything, claiming Jenny was lying and the photos were old. But when I showed her the screenshots of her conversations with Mike that Naomi had found, she finally broke down. Through tears, she admitted that she had never gotten over Mike. She said that during their relationship, he would talk about Naomi constantly, comparing every restaurant they went to with places he used to take Naomi, or pointing out things Emily would like whenever they went shopping. When she found out I was dating Naomi, all those feelings of inadequacy and jealousy came rushing back. She thought if she could help Mike get custody of Emily, he would realize he had feelings for her instead of Naomi. She had been feeding him information about our relationship, suggesting ways he could use my presence in Emily's life against Naomi in court. She even helped him find Naomi's work schedule so he could show up and try to talk to her. My mom was devastated when she found out. She had genuinely believed she was helping Emily by encouraging a relationship with her biological father. Finding out that my sister had manipulated the situation for her own benefit made her realize how much damage she had caused. She broke down crying and called Naomi immediately to apologize. The most shocking part was when my sister admitted that Mike had been using drugs again the whole time they were dating. She had helped him cover it up, making excuses when he would disappear for days or blow through his paycheck in a weekend. She tried to convince herself she could help him get clean, just like she convinced herself he would eventually forget about Naomi. My dad, who had been supportive from the start, was furious when he found out. He told my sister she needed professional help to deal with her issues before she destroyed more lives. He also offered to help Naomi get a restraining order against Mike, saying he would testify about everything my sister had told us. Naomi was surprisingly calm when she heard everything. She said she had dealt with enough drama from Mike over the years to last a lifetime, and she wasn't surprised he had managed to hurt more people. She was just relieved that the truth was finally out and we could start dealing with the real issues. Emily, thankfully, has been protected from most of this drama. She knows there was some grown-up stuff going on, but we've tried to keep the details from her. She's just happy that my mom has stopped trying to push her to spend time with Mike. Right now, my sister is staying with our parents. My mom has withdrawn her support from Mike completely and is trying to make amends with Naomi. Mike has been quiet since my sister stopped feeding him information, but we're still proceeding with the restraining order just to be safe. I'm still angry with my sister, but mostly I'm just sad that she would go to such lengths to hurt people instead of just being honest about her feelings. It's going to take a long time before I can trust her again, if ever. Update 3: A lot has changed since my last update, and I wanted to share how everything turned out. The situation with Mike finally got resolved, but not before he tried one last desperate move. After we exposed my sister's involvement, Mike actually tried to spin it in his favor. He went to Naomi's parents and told them that Naomi was keeping Emily away from him and his new family, meaning my sister. He painted this picture of himself as a changed man who just wanted to be there for his daughter. Naomi's parents, who had dealt with his lies for years, didn't buy it for a second. They showed him years' worth of texts where he had ignored their attempts to involve him in Emily's life. Once Mike realized he had lost all support, he disappeared again. But before he left, he signed away his parental rights. I think he realized that with my sister's confession about his drug use and my mom willing to testify against him, he didn't stand a chance of getting custody. Naomi's lawyer said it was the best outcome we could have hoped for. Naomi and I moved in together last month. We found a house with a big backyard where Emily can practice soccer. The transition has been surprisingly smooth. Emily loves having her own playroom, and she's already talking about wanting to paint her room purple, her current favorite color. My relationship with my family is slowly healing. My mom has been making a real effort to make things right. She comes over for dinner once a week and is actually building a real relationship with Emily now. She even enrolled in a grandparent support group to learn how to be a better step-grandmother. My dad has been amazing through all of this, helping us move and teaching Emily how to grow vegetables in our new garden. My sister moved to another city for a fresh start. She sent Naomi and me a long email apologizing for everything. Naomi responded with grace, telling her she hoped she would find happiness and peace. We're not ready to have her in our lives right now, but maybe someday. The best moment came last week. Emily had her school play. She was playing a tree in a forest-themed production. After the play, she introduced me to her friends as my dad. It wasn't planned or discussed, it just came naturally to her. Naomi squeezed my hand and smiled, and I had to fight back tears. We're planning to get married next spring. Nothing fancy, just a small ceremony in our backyard. Emily is excited about being the flower girl and has already started practicing throwing petals. After we're married, I'm going to legally adopt Emily. With Mike having signed away his rights and Naomi's full support, our lawyer says it should be a straightforward process. Sometimes I think about how close I came to missing out on all of this because of my initial hesitation about dating someone with a kid. Emily has brought so much joy and love into my life. Watching her grow and being there for her achievements, no matter how small, has been the most rewarding experience of my life. Naomi and I have started talking about having another kid in the future. Emily is excited about the possibility of being a big sister. For now, though, we're just enjoying being a family. Life isn't perfect, we still have challenges and bad days, but we face them together. I guess sometimes the family you choose turns out to be better than the one you're born into. To anyone out there hesitating about dating someone with kids, don't let other people's prejudices or your own fears hold you back from something that could be amazing.